On Fenris, the hunt is sacred. Wolves stalk the ice alone for days, patient, silent, relentless. In the 41st millennium, that spirit lives on, not in flesh, but in ceramite and steel. A towering silhouette moves through the snow, its steps muffled, its reactor whisper quiet. It is not a dreadnought, it is not a tank, it is a hunter. This is the Invictor Tactical Warsuit, the silent kill engine of the Adeptus Astartes, and the lone beast of the Space Wolves.
Welcome back to Brush and Blood, where painting meets lore and minis meet myth. Today, I'm painting a Space Wolves Invictor Tactical Warsuit, a war machine built for ambush, stealth, and the cold brutality of the hunt. As we work on its wolf gray armor and stealth plating, we'll explore the difference between a dreadnought, a dread knight, and an Invictor, why the Invictor is the perfect weapon for the Space Wolves, and the sagas of the lone pilots who stalk the battlefield in silence.
Let's get it on!
What the Invictor truly is. The Invictor Tactical Warsuit breaks every rule of Space Marine doctrine. It is a walker, but it is not a dreadnought. It is piloted, but it is not entombed. Instead, a living Marine sits in an exposed cradle, strapped into a stripped-down exoframe that moves with their muscles, nerves, and reflexes. The Invictor is the Primaris answer to the question, how do we create a giant that hunts like a man? It's fast. It's quiet. It's deadly up close or at range. It doesn't replace a dreadnought. It fills a role the Imperium never had before. A stealth walker, a lone recon engine, a hunter with the strength of a tank, and the instincts of a wolf. The three giants. Dreadnought versus Dreadknight versus Invictor, the Tomb, the Exorcist, and the Hunter. All right, let's break down the three mechanical titans everyone confuses, debates, or memifies. Same idea. Big metal walker. Completely different personalities. The Dreadnought. The Tomb that walks. The classic. The legend. The OG box of pain. Inside a Dreadnought is a Space Marine who should have died centuries ago, but the chapter refused to let him rest. He's not piloting the machine, he is the machine. Slow, heavy, relentless, angry in every language known to mankind. A Dreadnought doesn't run, it endures. It doesn't hunt, it remembers. This is the coffin that refuses to lie still. The Dread Knight, the Daemon Executioner. The Grey Knights looked at a bloodthirster, a 30-foot daemon of murder, and said, I need something bigger. The Dread Knight is an exosuit strapped to a psychic killing machine. The pilot stands outside, hooked in by mental spikes and psychic clamps. This thing isn't for tanks. It isn't for infantry. It isn't for heretics. It is built for daemon royalty. Where a Dreadnought is a veteran in a sarcophagus, the Dread Knight is a battle psalm given legs. If a Dreadnought is a tomb, the Dread Knight is a cathedral on fire marching into hell. The Invictor, the lone hunter. And then we have the wild card. A Marine strapped to a lightweight exoframe with no sarcophagus, no entombment, no psychic prison, just muscle, reflexes, and a silent reactor. The Invictor is a 10-ton wolf sent ahead of the pack, lighter than a Dreadnought, faster than a Dreadknight, quieter than anything its size should be. It doesn't tank hits. It doesn't duel daemons. It hunts. Now let's compare them side by side. 2A, purpose. Dreadnought, survive, kill. Keep killing. Dread Knight, fight gods and banish nightmares. Invictor, sneak, stalk, strike first. If you want impact, take a Dreadnought. If you want exorcism, take a Dread Knight. If you want fear before the battle even begins, that's the Invictor. Pilot experience. Dreadnought. I haven't felt my legs in 400 years, and I'm still angry. Dread Knight. My brain is plugged into a cathedral, and I can hear angels screaming. Invictor. I'm basically cosplaying as a mech while hunting monsters. One fights through pain. One fights through faith. One fights through instinct. Movement style. Dreadnought. Forward. Always forward. Dread Knight. A giant knight charging a bloodthirster with a big glowing sword. Invictor. A tank-sized ninja. Combat role, Dreadnought. Midfield bruiser. Tank puncher. Infantry liquefier. Dread Knight. Daemon. Slayer, Warp, Executioner, Cosmic Duelist. Invictor, First Turn Pressure, Recondominance, Ambush Predator. A Dreadnought is the chapter's memory. A Dreadknight is the chapter's faith. An Invictor is the chapter's instinct. One is a relic, one is a ritual, one is a hunt. Together, they're the Imperium's holy trinity of mechanical violence. Saga Vignette: The Hunt of Ulfric Ironbound. During the Ghost Moors campaign, when the sun hadn't pierced the fog in 3 months, and the swamps stank of chaos sorcery, 3 squads of intercessors simply vanished. No vox calls, no locator beacons, just silence. The Jarls argued. The Long Fangs prepared their guns, but one Marine stood, slammed his fist into his chestplate, and said, "I will find them." Ulfric Ironbound, lone hunter of the Blackmane Company, strode toward his Invictor like a wolf returning to its pelt. He carved runes into the armor plates: track, strike, end, then climbed into the cradle, sealing himself to the machine spirit. As the warsuit stepped into the fog, its heavy footfalls softened, its reactor dimmed, and 10 tons of ceramite moved like a stalking beast. Hours passed, then cracks echoed through the mist. Not gunfire, but bones breaking. Vox signatures flickered. Heretic screams roared, then turned to choking gargles. Something huge was hunting in the dark. When Ulfric finally emerged, his warsuit was dripping in both blood and the swamp's black sludge. Half its armor was clawed. The heavy flamer was red hot. Ulfric said nothing of what he faced. Only 5 words: the hunt is finished. Burn the bodies. To this day, Space Wolves claim the fog itself fled him. Lore Vignette: Fire in the Snow. In the frostbitten mountains of Morndrak, a pack of Tyrannid warriors cornered a squad of Longfangs in a narrow pass carved by centuries of storms. The snow fell thick as wool. Visibility 0. The wolves braced for a glorious death. Then came a rumbling beneath the ice, like something massive breathing under their feet. A tremor, a crack, a jet of steam. Suddenly, the snow exploded upward as an Invictor Tactical Warsuit burst from a hidden burrow beneath the drift. 10 tons of ceramite erupted like a frost worm. The warriors shrieked. The heavy flamer roared to life, spewing a pillar of burning promethium that lit the storm in violent orange. Snow melted in sheets. The mountainside hissed like a struck forge. The Invictor didn't charge. It pounced, slamming its fist into a Tyrannid's chest so hard it knocked the creature off the ridge entirely. Another tried to flank. The Invictor pivoted with unnatural speed, its bolt carbine shredding carapace in the blink of an eye. What the Long Fangs saw that day was not a machine. They saw a legend, a wolf of iron, rising from the earth to defend its pack. When the battle ended, the snow around the Invictor was glass, melted, cooled, and frozen in a single moment of fury. To this day, that place is called the Glass Fang Pass. Pop culture parallels. Machines that stalk, hunters that kill. Cross gaming and anime, we've seen machines and warriors who embody one simple truth. Some fights aren't about armies. Some fights are about the hunt. And that's where the Invictor fits, because it isn't a siege engine or a duelist. It's a predator. Armored Core, the lone mech with a job to do. In Armored Core, you're not leading armies. You're a lone mercenary in a custom-built frame, built for precision, flanking, and surgical destruction. Quick, silent, deadly, purpose-driven. Sound familiar? The Invictor is basically the Space Marine version of an AC unit. Lightweight frame, tuned for ambushes, hit and runs, and collapsing flanks. Pilot exposed, but in total control, built to strike from angles the enemy never prepared for. In Armored Core, your mech isn't the heaviest, but it's often the most dangerous because it arrives where you least expect and hits where you're weakest. Same with the Invictor. If the Dreadnought is a tank and the Dreadnought is a holy exorcist engine, the Invictor is a professional problem solver, doing high-risk missions alone. The Hunter's Spirit, all these stories share one truth. Some warriors fight with armor. Some fight with faith. But hunters fight with instinct. Monster Hunter gives us the stalking, the patience, the burst of violence. Armored Core gives us the precision, speed, and lone wolf mentality. The Invictor brings both worlds together. The primal instinct of a seasoned monster slayer. The cold precision of a lone mech pilot, wrapped in the wolf spirit of Fenris. It is not the biggest war machine, not the holiest, but it is the one that hunts. Real-world parallels. Warriors who walk ahead of the line. Long-range recon patrols. Ghosts with guns. During the Vietnam War, LRRP teams lived a life that most soldiers only whispered about. These weren't squads. They weren't platoons. They were 6 men alone, deep behind enemy lines, with nothing but radios, discipline, and their own instincts. For days at a time, they crawled through jungle that felt alive, where every leaf could hide a rifle, and every shadow could be death. Their mission wasn't glory. It wasn't kill counts. It was something colder. Find danger before danger found their brothers. One LRRP team, the famous Team Arizona, of the 101st Airborne, once spent 9 days observing a North Vietnamese battalion from only a few dozen yards away. They lived in total silence. No fire, no talking, sleeping in shifts of 5 minutes at a time. When they finally called in artillery, the strike saved over 200 infantrymen advancing blind through the valley. 6 ghosts changed the fate of an entire battle. That is the Invictor. A lone engine, walking ahead of the line, seeing the threat before the threat knows it's being watched. Psychology and selection, the mind of the lone hunter. To pilot an Invictor is not a promotion, it's a calling. Unlike Dreadnought pilots, who are ancient heroes, preserved by tragedy, and unlike Dreadnought pilots, who are indoctrinated as psychic executioners, Invictor pilots are chosen while still alive, young, and deadly. So how does a chapter decide which warrior gets strapped into a 10-ton hunting rig and sent miles ahead of friendly lines? It begins with temperament. Invictor pilots are the Marines who think clearly under isolation, act without orders when instinct demands it, stalk, observe, and wait, never crack under silence, and carry a predator's patience. Instead of a berserker's rage, these are not glory seekers, not duelists, not brawlers, they are hunters. Among the Space Wolves, chosen of the Lone Fang. For the Wolves, the trials are even harsher. Before earning an Invictor, a warrior must complete the Rite of the Lone Fang, survive a hunt alone for 3 days, track a beast without being detected, kill it with blade, not bolter, bring back its fang as proof. Failure means shame. Success means honor and the right to wear the iron pelt. Space Wolves lore says, you don't choose the Invictor, it chooses you when the machine's spirit senses a hunter's soul. He, psychology of the pilot, sitting exposed in that open cradle, wind cutting across armor, you hear the world differently. The pilot feels every vibration of the frame, every pulse of the reactor, every shift in the terrain, every instinct telling them when to strike. There is no coffin, no entombment, no ancient machine spirit whispering memories of centuries past. Just a Marine, a giant exoframe, and the heartbeat of the hunt. Invictor pilots describe the sensation as being 10 feet taller and twice as wild. They aren't chosen because they are the strongest, but because they are the ones who can walk alone. Because some hunts require a pack, and some require a single wolf. Here's our finished Space Wolves Invictor Tactical Warsuit, painted in storm gray armor, and ready to prowl the tabletop like a true Fenrisian hunter. The Invictor isn't a hammer or a fortress. It's a predator. Fun fact, Space Wolves sometimes carve kill runes on the inside of the pilot's cradle, a reminder that every hunt leaves a mark. Next time on Brush and Blood, we journey to the Red Planet to paint a Skitarii Ranger, one soldier from the endless machine legions of Mars. This episode is for entertainment. Some lore varies between editions. Question for you. If you could take one machine on a lone wolf mission, would you choose a Dreadnought, a Dread Knight, or an Invictor? Let me know in the comments, and may your hunts be silent.
Next time on Brush and Blood Skitarii, the squad enters the heart of the Forge world, but the machines are not all friends.
We're being hunted!
I can hear the code screaming.
Then we hunt back! Activate the canticles!
Episode